an accredited nutritionist, so what's your approach to that on like a daily eating basis for yourself? And what would you recommend for other people?
I'm a registered nutritionist, and I work a lot with disordered eating, with also high performance and optimization. And a large approach to how I look at nutrition is so many times, and you might see this as well within healthcare, is that we always kind of deal with a problem and try to find a solution when we have a problem, as opposed to actually looking at preventing these problems and conditionings coming forward. And for me, that's really important because there's so much more we can do to look after ourselves to try and help prevent these kind of chronic health problems that we're suffering with in the UK and globally. How I approach my diet, I don't generally talk about my specific approach because we're all so individual. And I definitely have because I have a presence on social media and again as an authority figure within the nutrition world, I wouldn't want to ever tell people my daily diet and influences their choices by the lifestyle that I lead. But I do eat a variety of diversity of plant-based foods. It's really important to me. I'm not a vegan, but I do try to have predominantly plant-based. A lot of my research has been around omega-3s, and that's with oily fish. So I do try to consume that once or twice a week, really important for our brain health and focus, as well as many other benefits like anti-inflammatory and things like that. But I think a really big part of how I approach diet overall and what I really try to convey to people is it's about diversity and about trying to introduce new foods and becoming familiar with new foods and not being afraid of them. And because we know so much about diversity is linked to improved gut health and our gut microbiome, and there's so much research now exploding in that field.
It's a big thing now.
It's huge, especially with like Tim Spector and all of his fantastic research at King's College, and he's kind of really brought the gut microbiome to the forefront today. So, you know, a lot of times we see headlines in papers and magazines and on the internet about specific diets and cutting things out, and I really do try, unless you have a real blown allergy or an intolerance, to try and not cut too many things out of your diet, because what we want to be doing is trying to optimize as many different sources of nutrients as possible, and you do that from getting a range of foods. So that's something that I really try to advocate.
Yeah, they often talk about like colourful food in a varied diet being important, don't they?
And it's really difficult, actually, I think, because so many times you want to be saying, well, if you do this and this and this, you know, this can be the outcome. And, you know, sadly, a lot of people do, but that's just, you know, ethically not correct. And I was speaking to Giles Yeo, who's a geneticist from Cambridge University, around like why diets don't work and things like that. And, you know, it's true. He mentioned a lot of times, you know, it's not sexy to say have a healthy, balanced diet. It doesn't sell, you know, it doesn't sell packaging and products and supplements.
Everything is cut this out, cut that out.
Exactly.
Restrict yourself.
Yeah, but like the kind of true evidence
is a balanced diet.
It's a balanced diet, and it's that really boring saying about moderation. I know that doesn't sell, and I know that's like quite mundane to think it's not a quick fix, but I think we also need to be looking at how we optimize our lifestyle for the long term, and it shouldn't be about quick fixes, because in the end we are wanting to look at longevity, and that comes with a balanced approach, and the more balanced approach you have, the more you can maintain that long term, so the better impact it will have. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think some of these diets about the way they brand it, do you know what I mean? It's about a branding thing, but no, you're definitely right. Better to have a varied diet, and a personalised approach is the way to go.
It really is, because we're all so unique, and I think that's what's really important is we can, especially with kind of the boom of social media, it's so easy for us to have comparisons with one another and kind of think, well, this is working for my friend or this is working for a celebrity, I will try this approach. And your microbiome, your individual makeup is so different to the person that you're comparing yourself to. So that's a very important thing to remember, that what works for somebody else might not work for you for a host of different reasons.
Exactly. We did talk about a little bit, kind of touched on that in the fashion design industry, and models who have to look a certain way and keep healthy. How do you think there is a pressure on still within the fashion industry, but how do you think it's trying to be addressed, and are things moving forward in that way?
No, it's a good question. I mean, it's the reason why I actually started the BY Collective, which is my mental health organisation. And that started really just from my own experience in the industry and realising that there was a real need for some kind of support. I think when you're, at that high performance, whether it's in the modelling industry or the sport industry or the music industry or any of these high performance industries, and you don't have anyone to turn to say, well, how do I kind of maintain this look, or what advice can I get? We don't have any expert to gain that knowledge from. And it's a very young and influential age group that when you start in this industry. So I created the BY Collective to basically bring in a host of experts and a community resource really for young adults to turn to. And now we've extended that basically throughout the fashion industry. And now we're predominantly not specifically just aligned to the fashion industry. We're aligned to all young adults throughout the UK, which is really important. But predominantly that's kind of where the route started. Yeah, because I saw the need. I do think the approach is changing slowly. I think it can be a double-edged sword there. I think outwardly it can be shown to be changing. Behind the scenes, I'm not sure if it is, how quickly. I do think people are starting to recognise the need for change and consumer demand, that we don't just want to see size 6 or size 0 models all the time. But certain designers will still carry on with that trend because that's what they feel their clothes and how they're shown best as clothes hangers. You're quite dehumanized as a model. You're not really seen as a person. You're seen there to show off the clothes in their best fashion, as opposed to be knowing as a personality or as a human being, like a celebrity or somebody like that. So I think the conversations are there, and I think that's really important. The work that I've been doing with the BY Collective for the last 4 years is trying to engage these big brands with the importance around that, with building a community. I can say the majority of them don't really care, being honest. They're more interested in sustainability, and that's where they kind of are telling me all their resources are going at the moment. So it's really hard to hear that and then read about that it is changing, because behind the scenes and conversations that I'm having, they don't seem to be as engaged. But the one amazing thing that we are getting out of it is that all the UK modelling agencies are now signed to the BY Collective. So we are introducing mental health training and the importance of language and educating a support system for models and young adults as well. So yeah, I would say it's an answer that's, I think, still ongoing.
Yes.
But there are some positive conversations starting to happen for sure.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good.